Forgiveness is an opportunity for you to change your relationship with yourself. Forgiveness is an opportunity for you to apologize to your cells, the cells in your body. Forgiveness is an opportunity for you to transcend yourself. It's got nothing to do with the other people. It really doesn't. Plain and simple, forgiveness is an expression of love, ultimately. And not love for the other person, but love for yourself. It's important for you to love yourself enough to forgive. So then the question becomes, what is unforgiveness? Eric Butterworth put it this way, and I love his definition. He said, unforgiveness means you are unaware of your divinity and acting at the level of your humanity. You are unaware of your divinity and acting at the level of your humanity. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? So happy to be here today. What about you? Yes. Well, I was going to say, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Yes. Well, I'd like to invite you to stand before I start, if it's okay with you. And I'd like to invite you to place your hands in your heart space and repeat the following words after me. I give myself permission, to forgive and let go. I give myself permission, to love and to grow. I give myself permission, to forgive and let go. I give myself permission, to love and to grow. Thank you. You may be seated. How did that feel? It feels good, right? To give yourself permission to do something that is going to be beneficial to you. I was very excited when I got a call from Reverend Newsom a couple of months ago, and he said, we'd love to have you back at Unity of the Triangle. And I thought, this is great. And he said, what do you want to talk about? And I said, you choose. I'm open, you choose. And then he reached out a few weeks later and he gave me 3 choices. And he said, which one do you want? And I said, I'm open, you choose. And so he said, forgiveness. And I said, you are so intuitive, because he does not know it or did not know that I'm writing a book. My second book is about forgiveness. I'm writing a book called You Are Forgiven, and it's a perfect topic because not only do I know about forgiveness, but let me tell you this, I am a subject matter expert at growing in forgiveness, because it seems to be the story of my life. Can anybody relate? Yeah, can you relate? And so what I want you to know is, from my heart to your heart, what my intentions are today. I want to be clear about that. It is my intention to help you to experience the life-transforming power of forgiveness, because forgiveness is something that everyone will have the opportunity to do. And so there are many side effects to unforgiveness, and what I want to help you to be able to do is not continue to live your life experiencing those side effects, and they wreak havoc on your life and the lives of the people that know you, that are in communication with you. Being unwilling to forgive creates dis-ease in the body, it creates discord in your mind, it creates dissonance in your heart, disdain in your spirit, and a drought in your emotions. It makes you emotionally unavailable to yourself and other people. It's a big deal to be unforgiving. So today, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm doing this to hold myself accountable. The first thing I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you my personal story of forgiveness. The second thing I'm going to do with you this morning is I am going to empower you with a formula that I use to help myself to grow in forgiveness. And the third thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to extend an invitation to you to set yourself free. Sound good? Okay, all right. So I wanted you to know so that you'll be able to hold me accountable for those things. Would you agree that forgiveness is a matter of the heart? It is. I don't care how you look at it, it always boils back down to something going on with your heart. So my story goes a little like this. It was a beautiful spring day in April of 2007. I was sitting in my home office in my sunroom, and the sun was beaming in. The phone rang from an unknown number, and I answered. The person on the other line was my Aunt Betty, and she said, "Greta, I called to tell you that your dad had a heart attack. He is in ICU, and he is code blue, and I thought you should know. I wanted you to know." I said, "Thank you for letting me know," after a long pause, and then I hung up the phone. I paced the floor, thinking to myself, I wonder why she called me. Because you see, the last time I had seen my dad, I was 8 years old. And in 2007, and don't try to add up my age, but in 2007, I was 40. So when you do the math, that was 32 years since I had interacted with my dad. So I was thinking to myself, I don't know this guy. Why would I go to the hospital to see him? I mean, what am I going to say? I mean, what do you do? What do you do? And after a few minutes of deliberating, I noticed that I had put my shoes on. I had my purse on my shoulder. I had my keys in my hand, and I was in my car driving to the hospital. And I thought, well, let me stop by my daughter's school and check them out. I have twin daughters. I stopped by the school, checked them out of school, and they said, "Is everything okay?" And I said, "Yeah, my dad had a heart attack, and he is in ICU, he's code blue." And I thought they would ask me, what is code blue? But they asked me, "Do you have a dad?" Because they had never met my father. They said, "We're 16 years old, and we did not know that your father was alive." I said, "Yeah, it's a long story. We'll talk about it later." We get to the hospital, and I am making my way to ICU, and I walk into the room where my dad is lying on the gurney. And he's laying there, lifeless, tubes everywhere, and he's puffy because he's got fluid, you know, the fluid thing is going on. And I'm looking at him, and my daughters are on either side of me, one to the left, one to the right. And I'm just looking at this guy thinking, what do you say? I wanted to say, "I love you," but it felt a little inauthentic, you know what I mean? And I stood there and I closed my eyes, and the nurse that was attending said, "He really can't hear you, he's incoherent, but you'll want to go ahead and make your final, your final statements, make your final goodbyes, so basically we can move this thing along." And I stood there and I took 3 deep cleansing breaths, searching for the words. And the only words that came to me was, "You are forgiven. You are forgiven." And as soon as I said, "You are forgiven," my dad, who was lifeless, his body was just laying there. He lifted his forearms and put 2 thumbs up. Now, he had 100% blockage, so they definitely didn't expect him to live. But then she rushed us out of the room because now the bells are going off and all the things are happening, and my dad lived. I definitely know for sure that forgiveness is a matter of the heart. But the other thing that I know for sure is that something incredible happened in that room. But guess what? I had been working on forgiving him year after year after year after year, taking workshops and reading books and, getting therapy and getting counseling and getting coaching. I was doing all the things, right? This is the importance of growing something. Because when it really mattered, I was able to say that part from an authentic place. And so the question that I would ask each of you is, how much blockage is in your heart? He had 100% blockage. How much blockage is in your heart? One of my favorite quotes is this: forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the hill that has crushed it. Mark Twain said that. And of course, Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And today we're going to go to Greta chapter 3, verse 15, my own book, which says, Father, I forgive them, for they know not what they do. Right? We got to make it personal. Forgiveness is a real thing. And so the question is, what is forgiveness? And believe it or not, forgiveness means different things to different people. Because I've talked to a lot of people about it. But in general, it involves intentionally surrendering, releasing, and letting go of resentment and anger about an act or something that hurt or offended you. But I'm going to give you Greta's version, because I do this thing called Greta-rising. I Greta-rise everything. I don't have to do the Midas-ize. I'm Greta-rising everything. And so here's my own definition, because I have to make it real to myself. Forgiveness is an opportunity for you to change your relationship with yourself. Forgiveness is an opportunity for you to apologize to your cells, the cells in your body. Forgiveness is an opportunity for you to transcend yourself. It's got nothing to do with the other people. It really doesn't. Plain and simple, forgiveness is an expression of love, ultimately. And not love for the other person, but love for yourself. It's important for you to love yourself enough to forgive. So then the question becomes, what is unforgiveness? Well, Eric Butterworth put it this way, and I love his definition. He said, unforgiveness means you are unaware of your divinity and acting at the level of your humanity. You are unaware of your divinity and acting at the level of your humanity. That's what I was doing for 32 years. Doesn't matter what he was doing. It only matters what I was doing. And so again, I'm going to invite you to repeat these words after me. I give myself permission to forgive and let go. I give myself permission to love and to grow. Next point I want to make. I told you that I was going to empower you with a formula to grow in forgiveness. So how many of you are familiar with the parable of the sower and the seeds? Anybody? Right. So we heard the story that, there was a person sowing seeds, a sower was sowing seeds, and some of the seeds fell on stony ground. Some of the seeds fell amongst the thorns, but the other seeds fell on good ground, right? Well, for those of us who sow the seeds of forgiveness or unforgiveness on the stony ground, what happens is those seeds are laying out in the open. So the birds can eat those seeds, The wind can blow those seeds, and the sun can burn those seeds. Those seeds come and go with the wind. That's when we're in our lives and we know we need to forgive somebody, but we're like, okay, I forgive them, but we really haven't let it go. It's hard for us to have a communication with them. We keep our distance, and we're kind of holding a grudge, right? But you're telling yourself, because you're spiritual, that you're forgiving them, right? But then you've got the seeds that fall amongst the thorns. And because the thorns are growing there, that's a good place for a seed to grow. But what happens is the roots don't go very deep, and then they get choked by the thorns. That's when we take a workshop here and there. I really am forgiving, but then something happens, and it happens again. And different person, but a similar situation. And so the unforgiveness, the seed that's growing, is getting choked by the thorns. But then there's the good ground where we sow the seed, and those seeds go into fertile ground. Those seeds, what's planted, grows strong and tall, and it actually produces something good, right? Here's what I want you to know about the parable of the sower and the seed. Number one, the seed, all the seeds are good seeds, right? These are good seeds that the sower was sowing. It was just that they were falling in the wrong places. So the sower is the grower. And the sower is the one who gets to choose what to sow. The sower is the one that gets to choose where to sow it. And the sower is the person that gets to choose to nurture it. So the seed has intelligence, but the sower has the power. Does that make sense? The seed has the intelligence, but the sower has the power. What I want you to know today is you are the sower, and you are the grower, and you are the one that has the power. So then, what is my formula for growing in forgiveness? The formula looks like this. The G is for giving up the need for the past to be different than it was. You got to let that go. It happened. It's over. It's not happening now. That was 1962, 1992. Heck, it might have been 1800s. I don't know when you guys were born. But however long it was ago, it's not happening now. So you got to give up the need for the past to be different than it was. The R is that you need to release your attachment to the event. You just keep running the event in your head like a rerun, rehearsing it over and over and over. You've been doing it so long you don't even know you're still doing it. You got to release your attachment to that event. And the O is that you have options. You can opt in to something that you really want to use your energy for, and you can opt out of the stuff that's keeping you stuck. And the W is an opportunity for you to write a new story. You can write a new story. You can write a new story. You are the producer. You are the main character, and you're all the other characters in your play. You have the right and the opportunity to do that. Now, I love the fact that the word grow is a verb, it's an action word. And grow actually means to expand, it means to evolve, it means to transform. It means that something is actually happening. But we do have to cultivate it. We do have to cultivate it. How many of you are aware that there was a seed that was discovered in 1963, between 1963 and 1965? Someone decided to excavate Herod the Great's palace in Israel. And they found a jar of seeds. And the scientists investigated those seeds, and those seeds were from 155 BC. The seeds were more than 2,000 years old, and of course, somebody decided to plant this date palm seed. And guess what happened? the tree grew. It grew with deep roots, it grew strong, it grew tall, and it produced. So my question for you right now is, how long have you been holding on to the seeds of unforgiveness? Has it been 32 years like me? Or has it been 2,000 years? Are you 2,000 years old? I don't know. That is the question. So I'm going to invite you again to repeat these words after me. Here we go. I give myself permission, to forgive and let go. I give myself permission, to love and to grow. I give myself permission, to forgive and let go. I give myself permission, to love and to grow. Finally, how many of you are familiar with the parable of the prodigal son? We've all heard that one, right? Some people say that's the greatest story ever told. And what we know about this story is that the son, one of the sons, leaves the father and he goes off and he does whatever he's doing. And he loses his money and life is not so good, and before he knows it, he's sitting with the swine. He makes a decision to go home to his father, to return home, because why is he out here struggling when he doesn't have to be? And so he goes home and the father receives him with love. He celebrates him, and he doesn't even mention what happened. Here's the interpretation of that parable. The father in the story is the divinity of you, and the prodigal son is the human side of you. And so there's this part of you that has forgotten your divinity. And so you experience separation like I did from my dad, and it left me in a certain place. So the father is the son. And when the son comes to himself, the human self comes to the spiritual self, he awakens from the ignorance of who he is, of himself. He realizes his innate divinity, and he returns to his state of unity. That's exactly what happened when I was standing at my dad's bedside. I had this moment of realizing that it wasn't even about him. It was about me. And I'm so thankful that I was able to forgive. So as I move to closing, I do want to tell you that forgiveness is an inside job. Forgiveness is not a spectator sport. And forgiveness is a daily practice. And I don't even want to say a daily spiritual practice, because we feel like, oh, I'm being spiritual. Oh, I'm not being spiritual. It's just a daily practice. Just like you brush your teeth, you can do forgiveness in the same way. So what I've done today is I've shared with you my personal story of forgiveness. I've given you the formula, GROW, of what you can do to empower yourself to grow in forgiveness. And then I have given you the invitation to come home, just like the prodigal son went home to his father. And so the questions that I would ask you, because sometimes we ask the wrong questions, right? Sometimes we're like, why did that happen to me? I'm such a nice person. That's not the question. The first question is, how much blockage does your heart have? How much? The second question that you want to ask yourself is what I talked about with that is, what are you going to do? How long has this seed have you been holding on to this seed of unforgiveness? And the third question is, are you ready to come home? Are you ready to be free from whatever is running in your mind about something that happened so long ago that's not happening right now? So what I want to do is let you know that I'm having a workshop after this at 1:30 today, and it's going to be upstairs, in a room upstairs, so it won't be in the fellowship hall. You are more than welcome to come and to join, and I will tell you, you will not be disappointed. I once heard a poet say this: pain is something you have, hurt is something you are. Hurt has a face and a name. Hurt is a dangerous thing. Hurt needs one thing to survive. It needs a host. It needs somewhere to hide. Something to feed off of until it thrives. So today, I want to invite you to be the whistleblower on the thing that might be keeping you stuck. I want you to blow the whistle on the thing that's getting in the way of you fully enjoying your life. You deserve a good life. Why not you? And why not now? Forgiveness, growing in forgiveness is a real thing. And I just want you to know that I am holding a space for you so that you can once and for all stare unforgiveness in the face. Stand tall. Be the sower that sows the seed of forgiveness and no longer continue to sow the seed of unforgiveness. We want something that's going to produce and something that's going to be strong. I'm going to close on a quote, a couple of them. One says, when you forgive, you in no way change the past, but you sure do change the future. And this is the one I really like. To forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner was you. Isn't that interesting? Well, I want to thank you for listening and thank you for being here. And I hope that you'll be able to use this information going forward.
I hope you got something out of today's service. We intend to bring you things that will help you in your life become more of who you want to be, give you the freedom of forgiveness and the hope of expectancy that your life will unfold in a way that brings you joy, happiness, and is a contribution to the world. If you would like to contribute to this ministry, please go to unitytriangle.org, hit the donate button, and it will lead you into an easy way of doing that. We thank you for your attention and look forward to seeing you again here.